Today, I have a story about potatoes. Do you like potatoes? Who likes potatoes? What kind of way do you like potatoes? Oh, mashed potatoes, that's my favorite. Mashed potatoes and gravy, oh, that's even better. What about, my husband loves potatoes too, so we have baked potatoes, fried potatoes, all kinds of potatoes, about any way you can do it. Potatoes are awesome. Well, this is a story about a place here in the United States, in Utah. Do you know where Utah is? It's a state. Yep, it's not too far from us here on the west. But this happened during COVID. Do you remember about a year or so ago when nobody could go anywhere? You had to have your mask if you even stepped outside. Well, this was a tiny little town. There it is. See this? This is where Moab is. I don't see a town right there, but just a couple miles from a place that's called Arches. It's a beautiful national park. And you can see, are there lots of beautiful pine trees? Lots of beautiful rivers? No, it's very dry there and very hot for almost the whole year round. So in this town, when COVID happened, nobody came. And the only things that happened in this town were people coming to go hiking, to do all the wonderful things outside. It was a tourist town. And when nobody could visit, that meant nobody had any work. And what happens? Do you get paid if you don't have work? No. So they weren't getting any money coming in. If you don't have any money, can you go to the store and buy anything? No, that includes food. So right here in the United States was a whole town, and these people were getting hungrier and hungrier. You go to your cupboard at home and you open it and there's food there, but how long will that last? A little while, but pretty soon you even go to the grocery store, and because everything's closed, big trucks weren't bringing food in. The grocery store wasn't ordering a lot because nobody had any money to pay for anything. So these people were getting really hungry. Now there's an Adventist church in town, and it had a whole 25 members because the whole town of Moab only had 5,000 people. That's not very many for a whole town. So this little church said, we've got to do something to help. We're hungry as well as everyone else, and we've been praying. And they got an idea. They said, we're going to have Moab manna. What's manna? Do you remember? What is manna? Shauna, can you tell me? It's a bread, but it's bread from heaven. It was kind of like a bread from heaven. That's what we assume it kind of is. It wasn't giant loaves falling from heaven, but it was little flakes that could be made into all kinds of things. So they thought, we've got to do something. And then they said, you know what? We're going to do potatoes. Why would they pick potatoes? Potatoes are one thing that could probably grow in that crazy land there because they don't have farms out in that area. But potatoes are one of the few foods that you could pretty much eat and kind of live on pretty much. After a few years, you might not be real healthy, but you could survive on potatoes. So they thought, well, how are we going to do that? A friend of the church said, I have a perfect place. I have 12 acres that you could grow potatoes on. So they go, awesome. So they went and they looked at this property, but it was full of these things that look just like potatoes. But what are they? They're rocks. Oh, they wish they could go that and change all those rocks into edible potatoes, but they couldn't. They had to go in and dig out all these rocks. Have you ever planted a garden at your house? Okay, what do you have to do to take care of your garden? pull weeds and get rid of any rocks before you plant. And also the soil you can see in that picture. Do you think that's very good soil for growing? It doesn't have anything to feed the little plants when they're growing. So they had to prepare. And there were only 25 of them. 25 people. That's like you group of kids here. Could you do 12 acres of land? Oh, that's a lot. So they kept praying and asking for help, and God did wonderful things for them. Got them all kinds of big, giant farm equipment to help. They brought in all kinds of fertilizer and things to make the soil healthy. But how do you grow a potato? Have you ever put a potato in your garden? Do you have a seed? No. If you're doing this at home, sometimes, you get this and it has funny little things growing on it. That's called an eye. And from that eye comes a sprout, and that's the potato plant. But you can buy seed potatoes. Aren't those funny looking things? They look like rocks, too. They kind of a little shriveled up little potato, tiny little thing, and it has that on it. And so this is what gets planted. And that is what will grow and become a big potato plant with lots of potatoes on the big vine roots that are underneath the soil. So they did all of that, and they worked really, really, really hard. Then they had to get water there. Do you see any water? There was no water there. They had to buy these big, long irrigation pipes. And then every day they had to move them. Can you when you're in the garden and you take your hose, you go from one plant to another plant? It was like that. But this was a huge, long pipe, like from way over there to way over there. And they'd have to move it. Could one person do that? No. And they thought, oh, we need more help. And so they asked, and people from all different churches, people who didn't go to church, everyone in town, they came and helped. It became a town project. What a way to share. Then it was time to harvest. And they were like, we don't have anything to put all the potatoes in. How am I? You go to the store and they come in a bag. But if you had 12 acres of potatoes, you're not going to fit in a little bag. Everybody bring their grocery bags? No, you need huge bins, big containers that can go on a truck. So they prayed and prayed. It was like, Lord, you've helped us over and over. We need something. Then, only a couple hours after they prayed that prayer, someone said, you know what? I have big bins that will hold 1,000 pounds of potatoes, and you can have each of those for only $2. What a miracle. What an answer to prayer. Wow. So they got those and they harvested, but it was hard to harvest because the machine didn't tell the difference between this and this. And when it was trying to harvest rocks, it would break down. And so they had a lot of trouble. But they worked and worked and worked, and they finally got, guess how many pounds of potatoes they got out of those 12 acres? How much? 1,000? A lot more than that. 2,000? More than that. 12,000? More than that. Oh, 8 isn't as much as 12. 30,000 pounds of potatoes. Wow. And even with that, they were able to share. Have you heard of the Navajo Nation? The Indians, the Navajo Indians, they have an area right close to them. They were able to share thousands of pounds of potatoes with them because they were very hungry too. They shared some with another group, with the U.S. government, so that they could share. Plus, they had food for their town, all from a little tiny start and a lot of prayers. Right. Now, if you would like, you can take a potato with you And you could experiment. If you just leave this potato be, pretty soon it will get some eyes. And because it's big, it's not a seed potato. Wherever it has those eyes, you can cut it apart. And if you kind of look on YouTube or Google, it'll show you how to grow your own potatoes. You can do that if you would like. Would you like a potato? Okay, you can stop by a potato. Otherwise, head back to your seats. Thank you so much.